It was a little praying mantis. This long. I had been wondering if we had praying mantises in Washington State. When I looked it up, we're in an area where there should be praying mantises. Well, howdy, nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this a brand new day. Hokey smokes. This has been just wonderful. I got up at 5:30. I have been talking to the cat, to the hamster, to myself, yammering this, that, and the other, and my voice has been fine, and things have been good. Sat down, started to record. There's a catch in my throat. That led to a near 7-minute sequence of trying to talk, having to cough, trying to cough stuff up, having to blow my nose, and all because I turned on the recording. Yay! It is cold outside. It was freezing last night. Well, not literally freezing, but very, very cold. I'm going to have to use more than just a bath towel to keep myself warm at night. But it's going to be in the mid-80s today. Yay. And of course, front-loading a video. Hey, if you could toss me a like, that'd be cool. If you could subscribe to the channel if you haven't, that would be awesome. If you could leave me a comment, that would be double plus good. And I would like to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons. These literally beautiful and literally awesome people who are, in fact, literally beautiful and literally awesome. Without their help, I would be hosed like a literal Christmas monkey. And trust me, that is no way to be hosed. So thank you, each and every one of these people. And if you would like to become a patron and help me survive, I have links in the video description. If you'd like to help me out without becoming a patron, there's links to a PayPal for donations. And if you'd like to help me out without doing any of that, there's an Amazon wishlist link. I also have a post office box where you can send me anything at all, and I will open it up on video. Yay! Thumbs up for front-loading of videos, and thank you very, very much. So, hokey smokes. What did I get done yesterday? Not a whole lot. I mean, I started off the day so wonderfully. I have muscle memory. Normally when I get my controller and I move the things up and around so I can copy video files from my PlayStation to the USB stick so that I can move into the computer, muscle memory sends my thumb sending the cursor upward, and then I go copy. I had, before I set the controller down, moved the cursor up onto the copy to USB stick option. And then I set the controller down, and then I put the USB stick in. Muscle memory sent my thumb going, okay, up. And that took it from copy to delete. And before I could even stop myself, muscle memory had gone up, delete, okay. And I went, oh my God. So yeah, I can't touch the controller that way. There's some kind of pre-work I can do. Oh, not that one. Thumbs up. So that was great. Yeah. And then of course I had a big bout of at least an hour of falling asleep in my chair here. So that was fun. But then I tried to get stuff done, managed to do that, but then was not able to get the stuff done that I wanted to get done, the big heavy things that hopefully I can do today. Executive dysfunction sucks, because these are things that I want to do, and I'm screaming inside of my head to get done, but can't. I need to actually practice this process. I can't remember what it's called, but you get close to doing something. You do a small bit of it frequently to sort of normalize that for yourself. If it's hard for you to say, wash the dishes, then what you do is several times a day you just walk up to the sink. You don't do anything else. You just walk up to the sink. And once you're there, stand there and then leave. That's all you do. It just gets you used to walking to the sink. Once you're comfortable doing that, you turn on the water. And this sounds silly. It sounds dumb. Like, well, who can't do that? But if you have something like executive dysfunction, or you require habits, this is what you will need to do. And apparently it works, and I need to start doing that. So, yay. Life is life. So hopefully I'll be able to do that. I was able to do some other things. I downloaded a whole bunch of stuff for D100 Dungeons, so I want to spend some time yammering about solo RPG stuff again. Yesterday, I finally got to play Note Quest on my own instead of just watching it in videos, because you can watch something in a video and go, oh, I think I know how this plays, but then when you actually play it can have an entirely different experience than the person who is doing the video that you're watching. So when I'm watching a video with the stuff, the combat of the game, I would need to actually play it to see how it feels for me to play it. I already knew everything was loosey-goosey and more arcadey, and I've talked about how I didn't think I'd like how combat would go, and oh boy, was I right. Hokey smokes. And the rules for Note Quest are set up so horribly. I had millions of questions and no way to easily find an answer if there even was one provided in the rules. That said, it's still fun up until the combat part. The expansion of the rules does not change the combat. However, I did download the homebrew rules for combat that I'm going to try out, and I think that'll go a lot better, because I was going up against creatures that would go and hit me for like 4 points of damage each and every time, and I had to roll my d6 and subtract 1. So I was doing 1 and 2 points of damage periodically, and sometimes, more than that, but it was doing, 4, 4, 4, and then I was down and out of the battle dead. So I don't like that kind of combat. Gonna try the homebrew rules. Also downloaded a whole bunch of stuff for D100 Dungeon, one of which is a program to make pre-generated maps that you can run in just a browser. And it's really cool. You can make these maps, you can print them out, so it takes away the random nature of the dungeon that you're going into, but all it does for each room is just say, this is the color of the room. And there are just 4 colors that are made in the game. So you enter the room, yeah, the map isn't random, but you don't know what's in the room. You only know that it's a yellow type of room. You have to look up that. You have to do the rolls, do all this, that, and the other. It just makes the map up beforehand. Kind of cool. Looks neat. Another set of rules, standard game with no expansions, is you go into a dungeon. You have a quest that you have to finish. If you leave before you finish the quest has failed. I mean, you can't go back and restart it. Your character has failed that mission. You have to go on to the next quest. It being a role-playing game, failure has consequences. So you don't ever really go back into a dungeon. The maps that you have are a record of your past adventures, but past them being kind of a trophy, they're not really useful for anything. There is a couple pages of ways to make it into a perpetual dungeon where you keep going in and it just keeps growing. And homebrew rules for that look pretty cool. It's not a static dungeon. The rooms stay the same as you discover them, but there are ways for the rooms to refresh so that they'll have different things in them. And you can leave and come back. And I have that catch back in my throat, so I need to cough. Now I'm lightheaded. Woo! Thumbs up for that. Try to remember what I was talking about. The perpetual dungeon. Yes, so you can leave the dungeon and go back. One thing that I was thinking of while I was out on walkies last night as sort of an addition to homebrew rules, because you can only carry so much. And while it's easy, quote unquote, to find more oil for your lanterns for light and more food so that you can eat as you go, you do and will eventually run out. I was thinking, hey, you could make like a cash roll, a stash, where you could put X number of oil, X number of food, and then like 2 weapons or 2 pieces of armor or one armor and one weapon. And then you can stash that so that if you need food, there's a room that has a stash. Also thinking that because these are populated, each time you use it, you put a hash mark, and then you make a roll on a die to see if that has been discovered. The more often you use your stash, the more likely it is you're leaving marks that others would see. So they go, hey, what the? Oh, and then they just take the stuff and your stash is ruined. Given a couple times you go through that room or the dungeon, not quite sure, I was just thinking of this, I haven't tried it yet. Eventually you couldn't go back and restash in that room because it has been, suspiciously gone over once that one stash has been found. But it is a living dungeon. It does refresh, characters do things, monsters would rebuild stuff. So after a certain number of days or visits, you could be able to restash in a room, and there could be just a tally mark on a sheet of paper for stash use. And that way you could keep going. You grab enough stuff, you make a stash in a room, next time you come in, you're running low on oil for your light, you stop in the stash room, suddenly you got some oil to go further. I think it'd be pretty cool, because with these rules, the dungeon just keeps going outward, sideways, and forward and down, perpetually, forever. Not just your character, but your character's descendants can keep going into this dungeon. It can be just, your entire village is trying to go through it. Good Lord. And again, I get dizzy these days when I cough hard, so joy on that. I got a little bug I still have my window open because while it gets cold at night, and I put the space heater there real close to the hamster cage, and I set it for 65 degrees at night now, so that the little guy's going to be okay. But I keep the window open for fresh air, especially when I come in the morning time. I need moving air. Stagnant air is just awful. So little bugs are still flying in. It's 80 outside during the mid-afternoon. There's still all sorts of summer bugs here in the middle of September. So there's all that sort of thing going on with the game. Now, real quick, I did want to talk about some other things, but I'm going to talk about this one real quick. I meant to talk about it in the beginning part of the video, but on my walkies last night, I came home and to Walmart, and I was halfway back from Walmart, and on the sidewalk I saw a big old moving bug as I was walking by. But I went back to take a look at it for whatever reason. I'm not sure why, because it was longer and thinner, and I was going, gosh, is that like an ant carrying something? Mildly curious. It was a little praying mantis, this long. I had been wondering if we had praying mantises in Washington State. When I looked it up, we're in an area where there should be praying mantises. I have never seen one in my life in Washington State. I don't even think I've seen one up close ever in my life. And there was just a little praying mantis walking across the sidewalk. And I stopped and watched it for a little while, and that was cool. Because I had never seen them before. IRL. Thumbs up for that. It was really, really cool. My voice is still catching. It's just nasty. I'm going to be coughing here again real soon. Now for the creative talk. We have to, for the Razor's Edge is both a place of great beauty and great vileness. There are the two universes, the inside and the outside, that all are actually one universe. It's a conjoined universe thing, but the two universes kind of rub and bounce up against each other. When they do this, they create a sort of static energy. This energy is nearly as infinite as that inside of the inside, which is an infinite pool of possibility and potential. This energy is what forms a large part of the razor's edge. These universes, as they rub and bounce against each other, they scrape holes, and when it finally gets thin enough for an actual hole to go through, well, they scrape it thin, and then there's a hole. That's where a razor's edge forms. It forms the actual place itself because, I'm not speaking English well, it forms when that hole opens. The energy that forms, the static energy, requires an arcing, a discharge for the creative energy to be used. Part of that is when it arcs, it creates an sphere of X number of size. It's a 20,000 circumference sphere in this particular razor's edge, but it snaps that part separate from the rest of the energy. It being a near infinite pool itself, it is filled with beings. These beings die through the formation of a razor's edge. The kaiju and the Apple Rock razor's edge is one of those beings that existed there. Never before has it happened. Only once has one of these creatures been caught. Never again. Are there more, or was there only one? When this happens, every living being that is in this bubble of energy burns to ash, and then the landscape burns to ash. This ash then forms the basis of the solid reality of that particular razor's edge. The kaiju The kaiju was caught and burned, except it did not die, it survived. But 60% of its being, presence, power, ability, and mind and everything burned away and then was smashed into the form that it was. In the universe that it lived in, everything is one individual and discrete, but also everything else. You are in one discrete location, but you are also a part of everything. You are yourself and you are everyone else. And so the kaiju felt their universe burn. And they hate what has been formed, this cruel mockery. But that's where the kaiju's from. The rest of the place is absolute beauty and joy. Imagine the most beautiful place that you can think of, and that is the most boring landscape you will find on the razor's edge. Out here we have a scale of 1 to 10. On the razor's edge it starts at 11. But just like our world out here, where we have great joy, and then we have creatures like the parasitic worms that grow inside the eyes of children and blind them, there are things like that on the razor's edge. Creatures of great horror and terror, violence and such, but it's all just survival. Even the kaiju, as vile and evil as it is, has to eat us just to survive. It may seem that it's evil to us, but when we are the victim pool, of course we're going to look upon it as evil. I mean, to a fish that has the parasitic creature that will eat its tongue and then take the place of its tongue, it sure seems evil. But to that creature that's the parasite, it's just trying to survive. There is great joy and great evil because everything is just trying to survive. And everybody lives on the razor's edge, on the bleeding edge of an untamable, unending frontier. Yay. A lot more I wanted to talk about, but I've opened up 24 hours worth of comments in my community tab. I'm going to go through and thank however many people have left me comments in the past 24 hours. If I mispronounce the username, no disrespect is intended, and even though I can't American Sign Language, well, you've seen how my brain works already. And of course, you did not have to watch this video this far. If you have, thank you so very much. I could not force you and would not want to, even if I could. The fact that you have watched this far is because you have chosen to. Thank you so very, very much. Let me call my Chrome. We have Jesse Koskinen, and hey, good to have a vacation. It's always a very, very good thing to take care of yourself. Thumbs up for that. God, I love being organic. We have Sasha Boy, thumbs up, thank you very, very much. And oh yeah, I've watched Happy Tree Friends. I've laughed like an idiot at the intense violence and murder that happens. They were fun. JAYY, always good to see you in the comments, and thank you much. We have X-Ray Vision, greatly appreciated, and thank you very, very much. There are Sebastian Ferries, always good to see you in the comments. It's been a time, and I hope that you are reacclimating well. We have It's Chris, thumbs up for Carnage. There is Tommy Nelson, thumbs up and thank you. Wumbo, greatly appreciated, thumbs up and thank you. Pinball Evan, well, hello. And then there's Adrian FNTES. Hopefully some more of this Razor's Edge stuff helped. And then we have RJ, yeah, that was 10. Yeah, RJ Mitchell, thumbs up and thank you very, very much. Ben B, greatly appreciated. Good to see you. And that is it. 12 people who left me comments in the past 24 hours. Thumbs up. Thank you much. You get me out of my head and into the world and dealing with real people, if only for a short time and if only in text. Thumbs up. Well, so hokey smokes. I'm going to try and get some phone calls made. I need to talk to the Veterans Administration, homeless people, not actual homeless people, but people that help people that are at risk of being homeless, to see what they can do to help. Thumbs up for that. Hopefully I can get it done with these micro step things. I've gotten to the point I can click on the chat button, but but I can't chat yet. I'm gonna try. Hopefully you can do well too. And of course, with diseases out there, please take care of yourself. You don't need to get sick. There are a lot of diseases out there, and they're very, very awful. You just don't need to get sick. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is a very good thing.